Let's talk about a worry period and what is it. So, um, it's exactly what it says on the tin, as the saying goes. It's about worry. It's about having, worrisome thoughts in your head and taking back some control over them. And it could be anxiety related or stress related. It is a tool that we use with people in therapy. But you might have heard about it before. If not, you might want to try it. It is natural to worry. We all do it. Okay. And worry can be a helpful tool. It makes us more aware, our surroundings, the people, what's going on, and thus keeping us safe. But if you're starting to worry too much, if it's unnecessary, or you're questioning it, can I do anything about what is happening now, or is it out of my control? If you're not even thinking about it along those lines, but if you're stressing about it, if it's causing you too much anxiety, then we'd use a worry period. We'd sort of try and get take back that control, because when we let the worry run, it has become useless. It has become unhelpful to us, and it's increasing our stress and our anxiety levels. And when that happens, it's going to affect our physical and mental health, putting us at greater risk of depression, anxiety, heart attacks, diabetes, high blood pressure, sleep issues, menstrual issues, a whole host of things, work relationship issues, and all can come into this. So, what can you do basically to ease these worrisome thoughts? And that's where a worry period comes in. So we create this worry period. It does take a bit to set up, and I'm going to go through all the steps of setting it up. So don't lose patience with yourself. Just persevere, because once it's actually set up and working and in place, it can be really, really useful tool to do it. And then, we get a bit more proactive about our worry. And that's what this worry period is all about. Create this, and you're being proactive about your worry. So, we're not avoiding worrying here. That's not what we're doing. That's not what this is about. This is about taking control of it and creating a set time, and postponing the worry until later. And it's reducing the amount of time you actually spend worrying over the course of the day. So then that frees up your space, and gives you back a bit of control over your life, and frees up your space to do things that you need to do, looking after yourself, work, whatever it is. So how actually do you do this? There's three simple it's a 3-step technique, sorry, that you can do, but each step has a number of mini steps inside it, and it's important that you stop and think about it. And the first thing I'd say to you, though, is a little side step is social media and the news. If you're already worried or anxious, they tend to be very negative. They're very negatively draining. So if it was me, I'd turn them off. I wouldn't bother watching them. If something important happens, somebody will let you know. They always let you know. So in order to have some semblance over, constantly watching the news or constantly checking on social media, you need to grab time back. Perhaps setting up a set time during your day if you can't give it up altogether. Or you can't avoid it altogether because of your work, maybe. That you say, okay, at these certain periods of time during the day, if it's for work, that's when I'll check on whatever it is I need to check on, whether it's the news or social media. But other than that, I would reduce it to 10 minutes a day at the most. Yeah, I know some people are laughing, going, no way, I'll be constantly checking my phone. Turn off the notifications, okay? Do yourself a favor, particularly if you're going through a very stressful or anxious time at this moment. turn off the news, turn off the notifications on all your devices. That way you have more control over them, because they are very negatively draining, as I said, so reduce their influence over your worry. That's the first thing I'd say. Right, let's get into the steps. The first step is dictate how much time you will actually give to worrying. That's to the worry period. So the first thing we're going to do is actually decide on your worry period. Now, I would recommend allocating 15 to 30 minutes. But there are considerations you need to take into account here. Creating a worry period is a new habit. It's a self-care habit. Okay? So you need to have a set amount of time, 15 to 30 minutes. You need to decide when every day that will be. So it has to have, when that will occur. Okay? When will that occur? Now you need to decide where you're going to use to have that. So where are you going to sit while you're doing your worry period, that 15 to 30 minutes? You need some room, quiet place preferably, and you also need somewhere with a journal. You're going to be using a journal, so you need to be able somewhere to write it down, or if you don't want to write it down, you can get an app that allows you to dictate. I would recommend writing it down, because then you can go along with a highlighter and be a bit more proactive about those worries, and we'll come to that in a minute. So decide where you're going to be. So a table maybe with a chair, but not too comfortable. You don't want to have a comfortable place to sit. Okay, it can't be too comfortable. So that might mean the kitchen table when the kids aren't in the house, or the dining room table. It might be, if you've got a dressing table, you might use that. It might be even in your car if you have to, okay? Because you mightn't get anywhere else that you can be alone except in your car. So sometimes people have to use the bathroom, okay? They go in, they sit on the toilet seat, and they just have the journal and their pen in front of them in their hand, because that's the only space they have some privacy, and they can get alone time. So if that's the case, then that's what you've got. Okay, work with what you got. Just because you don't have anywhere else, think outside the box if you need to. You really do need to decide, like when this worry period is over and this 15 to 30 minutes is over, what are you going to do afterwards? There has to be something that you've done before. It's a habit, so we're setting it up. So what have I done beforehand? When am I slotting it in every day at the same time preferably? And then what will I do afterwards? Maybe afterwards it's get the kids to bed, make the dinner, might be a good idea. Organize yourself for the next day, have a shower, get up and go for a walk is a really good idea. Because that'll use up some of that extra energy you're going to have after it. So think about what you're going to do once that worry period is over. What will the activity be? Write that down now. Okay, when you're setting this up, decide on when you're going to do it, where you're going to do it, and what you're going to do after it. That's in the first step. The next part of the first step is to set a timer on your phone. So you're going to set a reminder on your phone that'll remind you, now it's time. This is my time now that I'm going to set aside to do this work. And then obviously when you're doing it, you'll set the timer to a countdown timer to allocate the time to stop. And then allocate a space in your diary as well. So if you've got a schedule and at lunchtime every day I'm going to pop out to my car 15 minutes, I'm going to do my worry period out there, then that's what you're going to do. You're going to set your timer for 1 o'clock, say. Out you pop to the car with the diary in the car and write down everything you're going to do in it. That you've set it up, and then go for a walk maybe for 15 minutes. Decide what you need to do, okay? Step 2, right? That was all just step 1. Step 2, we've got to be very practical and realistic about this. When we start to do this, we really have to be practical and realistic about how we postpone the worries, because that's what you're going to do. Okay, you're going to give yourself a shot at trying to postpone when you worry. The mind has had free reign, so you need to give yourself a little bit of patience here and keep trying. It will happen. You will be able to dictate to your mind, no, we're not worrying now, we're going to do it later. You will get a handle on it, okay? It just needs patience and keep practicing. So there's a few things here that might help you to do that. The first thing is to have a little tiny notebook. You know, the really small ones, little kind of tiny little things. I don't know what size they'd be, but they're only quite small, that you can carry around with you. Failing that, a bunch of these guys are post-it notes are a good thing, and a pen. Don't forget a pen. You can carry them in your pocket, in your bag. You know, if you're at work or you know, at your desk at home, you can keep a stack of post notes just stuck on your desk, and you just write it down. Okay, so what you're going to do is jot down what it is you're worrying about. 1 to 2 sentences at the most. Don't start worrying about it. Okay, trying not to do it. So you know, get your pen, just make a quick note as if you were writing a shopping list. And if somebody asks you what you're doing, just make, you know, I need to make a phone call, or I'm just a couple of things I need to pick up after work in the shops. That's your excuse if somebody you know, is nosy enough to ask you what you're jotting down on the post-it. Take the post-it off, fold it up, put it back in your bag or in your pocket, or get your notebook, put it in your bag, okay, or your pocket. Don't leave it lying around so nosy people can read it. But all you want to do is write down 1 to 2 sentences that sums up what you're worrying about. It could be a name, it could be a particular situation, but don't dwell on it. Don't get in the habit of just writing it down. You'll be there forever. Just write down 1 to 2 sentences, as I said. So again, preparation is key here. You need to prepare yourself. Get the notebook and the pen, maybe use an elastic to keep them together, or if it's spiral bound, it's easy to stick a pen through the spiral, or, you know, make sure you have your post-its with you. Organize it now, because that's going to give you, so when you go home then and your worry period is happening, you know, you've written it down, you have it there, and you can bring it back with you for the allocated time you're going to use it. Once you've done that, the best thing you can do for yourself is actually to get up. Once you've done your 1 to 2 sentences, the best thing you can do is actually get up and get moving. Okay, so you can pop to the bathroom, go outside and take a few deep breaths, quick 5-minute walk, or just go and walk to the photocopier. You know, what you're trying to do there is you're trying to use up that excess hormones, the anxiety and stress hormones that are flowing through you. You want to get up, get moving. Then come back to whatever you were doing, finish it off, or do something else. Do another work task, something quick, something you can get done fairly quickly, make a phone call, whatever, or one household chore. Make yourself a cup of coffee or tea. Meditate for a couple of minutes if you're at home, or you can pop out of the car or go to the bathroom and meditate. Do a 3-minute breather. You know, call somebody. So my suggestion here again is about preparation to help you do this, to help you distract yourself from what you're worrying about, is to keep a running list of 5-minute tasks with you. Now, you can keep it in the back of your work diary. You can keep it in the front of the journal that you're using for your worry period, your worry notes that you're going to use later on. You can keep it on the fridge. It doesn't matter where you keep it, but have it at 2 hands somewhere. You can lay your hands on it, and then okay, I have to do that. Cross it off, go do it. 5-minute, 10-minute task. The idea here is we're distracting our mind from what we were worrying about. So set up that piece of paper. Set up the online app, whatever you need to do to have your running task list that's going to help you postpone your worry. Next, step 3. This is all about the actual worry period itself. So we want to be proactive about this. So you have decided, in step 1, you decided on your where, how long for, you got your notebook set up, your journal set up. Now you've decided, okay, so we're going to take an example of 30 minutes. So what do you do during that 30 minutes? The first thing you do is you set your timer to go. So 30 minutes, once that beep goes off, quickly finish out what you're writing. That's it, done and dusted. What I would suggest, if using the 30-minute example, what I would suggest is during the first 15 minutes, get your little notebook out where you've already noted down today's worries or your post-it notes, and you can start writing out about more of those. Or you can just write, free flow writing, don't filter them. If you feel at any time you're getting stuck, do a brain dump. Start with a brain dump. And just allow the thoughts then, the worries to come up from there. And then the whole idea though is if you can write it down, it is better, because then you get to reread, what you've done. Reread these notes, write about them, or you can reread what you've just done in that first 15 minutes. Reread them. The next thing to do is for the next 15 minutes is to challenge what you wrote down. Make note of any triggers. If there's any particular person that's constantly there, or anything, situation that's constantly coming up for you. You want to watch for triggers. Repeating patterns is what you're looking for here. If you have a number of worries, okay, what I would do is I would go back and look at one at a time, and then ask yourself the following questions. Can I do anything about this person or situation that I'm worrying about? Now, if this is something that's outside your control, there is nothing you can do about it. The only thing you can do about it, if it really isn't your responsibility and it is outside your control, then you have to accept that. If you are having difficulty accepting it, if you are having difficulty having some compassion for yourself about trying to let this go, then please seek out a therapist. If this is something that you can actually control, if there's something you think you might be able to do about it, okay? Again, to help you ease the worry here, you take, you take a proactive stance here, and you imagine the worst case scenario. So what happens if the worst thing happens? What can you actually do about it? How could you go about that? Can you ask for help? And if so, who? Who could you go to? Okay, think about creating that positive supporters list. And this is why I tell you to have them, because there'll be somebody there that might be able to help you. Who could you go to? The next thing I say to you is, remember, you've handled stressful situations and people before, negative people before. Write down how you handled those people, those situations. It's a good idea to be able to look back and see, remind yourself. We can forget, particularly if we're very anxious, we're very worried, we're very stressed. It can be hard to remember what we did in those situations before. But remember, you have to be realistic here. Anxiety tends to overestimate what's going to happen and any mistakes that we might make. It tends to over exaggerate those. But if you can write down 1 to 2 practical things, like what you could do about it, where could you go for help, if you can show yourself, if you can show your mind that there is actually a plan in place to tackle this if it went to the worst case scenario, then this actually helps to reduce the worry. And that frees up the mind, to deal with the more important things in our lives. The thing I would say to you about this is it is a great technique. Once you've set it up in place, is a bit, I do realize it is a bit of a palaver to set up, and it can take a lot of practice to get it into effect and get it working for you. But once you do that, and if you say, okay, it's not working, or you feel that, this is really interfering in my daily life, then it's time to ask for help. And I would suggest that you go and you talk to a local therapist and reach out. So I'll finish there. As always, if you have any questions, please let me know, and I'll be happy to answer them for you. And I will see you all again next time.